Welcome back. With us again is the crew of Southwest Flight 1380, Captain Tammie Jo Shults, First Officer Darren Ellisor, and flight attendants Rachel Fernheimer, Seanique, Mallory, and Kathryn Sandoval. Tammie Jo, I want to ask you, you talked about the preparation of the Lord that you all had before, and what about the preparation from your military service?
Oh, it definitely came in. Besides the fact, just like carrier landings, get your heart pumping a little bit. And then I taught out-of-control flight as well. And so there was just a lot of dynamic flight training, and then going into A-7s and F-18s in a small aggressor squadron.
So when you talk about out-of-control flight, how many times had you been in a cockpit when this kind of a thing was going on, even if in training or in previous instances?
I've never been in a cockpit where this kind of thing was going on, but I have been in cockpits where the dynamics of the flight are not normal, and they also make it hard to even see or read the instrumentation. So that certainly helped to kind of keep my calm when this sudden explosion happened. And we are moving in a radical way, and we're not in balanced flight.
So was it really shaking? Was it?
Yes.
Because I saw an interview where you said as long as you have altitude and imagination or ideas, you have a shot. What was the word you used? Altitude
Ideas.
and altitude and ideas.
Right.
So what was the idea, Darren, that you had at that time? The plane is vibrating. There's a pitch. I don't know what that pitch means. How can you paint the picture of how steep it was?
It was a little over 40 degrees of roll, so that's when the plane banks.
Yeah.
And it's
Where they tell you
it's 10 to
remain in your
15
seat.
degrees.
Yeah.
Right. It's about 10 to 15 degrees more than a normal turn would be. But it happened very suddenly, and there was a very high level of vibration coming from the engine. So when you factor all that in with the rapid decompression, it was, I just have to get the wings level, pull the nose up a little bit, let the plane
That's all
descend.
I have to do. Wow.
It's what you train for.
Yeah.
And what do you communicate via intercom to the back of the plane?
Initially, our job is to get on oxygen, to take care of ourselves first, communicate with ourselves, and once we take care of the plane and get the first initial checklist, then our job is to talk to the flight attendants and find out, okay, what's going on back there, how are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
And you guys say that once you heard Philadelphia, that's all you heard. That was good enough for you.
Yeah.
That you knew where you were going, that you had a place to land.
Yeah.
Seanique, what's been like getting back up in the air?
I'm just taking my time. I want to make sure that I'm 100% myself before I can pour out into the passengers, because that's my job, is to be there primarily for their safety. So I'm just taking care of myself, and just before I get back into the groove of things.
You know, we saw the video of most of the passengers using the oxygen mask wrong. And I know as flight attendants, most of the time passengers are not paying attention. Are you thinking, now maybe you'll listen to us? Because this is the instructions, we're not just there to serve you peanuts and Cokes. This is very important that you know exactly what to do, and most passengers did not.
And we have to give them grace. It's a difficult situation.
Of course.
And no one expects that to happen to them. And so it's difficult you're shaking and you're putting on a mask and you're just trying to get just a good breath of oxygen in you. And so, and that was our job too. We walk around and we make sure that everyone is putting on their mask right and getting oxygen. And so, yeah, pay attention.
Yes, pay attention.
Tammie Jo, what happened when you landed that plane? I understand you gave every passenger a hug on the way out. But one of the things is, boy, when that plane lands, if I were the passenger, I'd want to get right off that plane. How did they keep everybody calm inside?
I think one of the unsung heroes is probably Darren in this, because he made keeping in contact with the flight attendants his priority. I was flying and talking because initially it was hard for us to communicate as well. We had a little pilot charade going on for a moment.
Hand signals.
And but we just went ahead and creatively split the cockpit, and I flew and talked while he took care of all the switchology, because there's a lot of things going on with different systems that actually need to be shut down, like the fuel on that wing needed to be, that engine needed to be shut off, and things like that. So he took care of switches, checklists, but he was always available when they called so that he could answer their questions. He could give them information, because it's so different when you're in the back and you don't see what's happening, you have no control of what's happening, and you don't know what they're doing or thinking about. So he kept them calm. They kept people informed and kept them calm. So when we landed and I turned over the checklist, the finishing of it to Darren,
We're so grateful to meet all of you. You are such incredible people.